and ideally somebody that has done it. And today we're joined by Nicola from Star Clippers, who obviously knows about it. I have to say I'm privileged enough to have also sailed on Star Clippers, and at the end of this session, I'll probably give you a few words on what my opinion was and pros and cons of doing it, because it isn't for everybody. Like every holiday, it suits some people and not others. So, you know, at the end of this presentation, if it means that you've decided it's not for you, that's as good as finding it is right for you, you know, because the right customer's important, picks the right holiday. So hopefully you're all muted. As usual with these sessions, I would encourage everybody, please, to click at the bottom, and you can see there is a chat button. Type any question you want in that chat button, because the more questions we get, the better it is, and the more everybody learns. So please ask those questions, and what we'll do, we'll pick all of them up at the end of the session and we'll go through them. So without further ado, I will introduce you to somebody who knows quite a lot about Star Clippers, it's fair to say. So Nick, I will pass over to you.
Thank you, Miles, and good afternoon, everybody. Lucky enough, I'm actually from the West Country, so at least I haven't got to worry about having subtitles today, because you can all understand me. And I am very lucky enough to work for such a fantastic business, Star Clippers. Now, I thought I'd just give you a bit of an insight on who we are, really, to start with. We have been trading. We started 30 years ago, and a Swedish entrepreneur whose name Michael Kraft is the founder and the owner of Star Clipper. He had an absolute passion for sailing and wanted to create these beautiful vessels so customers, friends, family could all get to experience his passion. Fast forward 30 years later, and Michael and his family are still very much in charge of the business and take part in our day-to-day running. So we are a family-owned business, much like Miles's business. And they are based now in Monaco, so living the dream over there in that lovely part of the world. So with over 30 years experiences, we are the pioneers of tall ship sailing, and we truly are the experts in what we do. So let me introduce our beautiful fleet to you. So starting with Star Clipper, so she is our original ship, and next to her is Star Flyer, who's her twin, and then we've got Royal Clipper. So in normal circumstances, where would they be? Well, Star Clipper would currently be in Asia. She'd be doing Phuket to Phuket, Phuket to Singapore, and Koh Samui round to Cambodia. And then she'd go down to Borneo, and then on to Bali for our summer, and then back to Asia. And she'd follow the same route throughout the course of a 12-month calendar. And then the beautiful Star Flyer would normally be in St. Martin in the Caribbean, and she'd spend 6 months sailing around the beautiful Caribbean before transatlanticing back to the Med, and she would be based out of Athens. And again, just the same process every 12 months. And then our flagship Royal Clipper would normally be in Barbados and would be spending the winter there before transatlanting back to the Med and being based out of predominantly Venice and a little bit out of Rome as well. So once we get back sailing, they will be in their current homes, ready to go. So we're hoping for that later on this year. So let's look at the ships in a little bit more detail. Now, as Miles said, like, this isn't for everybody. They are completely unique in what we offer, and there's a lot of history behind our ships. And like Miles and 6 of the team that I took out 2 years ago to see the ships, we can sit and talk to you for hours about them, but we don't have hours. So I'm going to try and go through as much information as I can in the next sort of 25 minutes. So Star Clipper, Star Flyer. These 2 ships were created, as you can see, 1991, 1992. A little bit of history behind them. They were the first clipper ships to be granted a certificate of sailing, a passenger vessel, since 1911. So this is what makes us the pioneers and the experts in what we do. We created these ships, and we were the first taken to the ocean with passengers since the early 1900s. Now, they can both carry up to 170 passengers. They normally sail around about 164. We like to have a couple of cabins spare just in case we need them. Everything's well appointed on the ship. You can't get lost. You can see there their beautiful mast, 4 masts on the Star Clipper and Star Flyer, and they really can go some through the sea. Both ships are beautifully interiorly designed, very much in keeping with the look and feel of the Clipper era, the Queens of the Sea. Still got that modern luxury that you'd expect from a cruise ship, but again, a much smaller, intimate basis rather than the big flamboyant ships we see out on the waters when you're going around the Med. Then we've got our beautiful flagship Royal Clipper, who's 5-mast, slightly bigger. She can carry up to 227 guests, and the difference is, first of all, is the size. Obviously, she's a lot larger. She's very grand when you see her. As we go through the pictures, you'll see inside her interior is very beautiful. Really does take you back and makes you feel a little bit special, particularly the atrium area. The difference between her and the other two ships is Royal Clipper does have balcony cabins, and she has 14 of those. So if when you go sailing or cruising, the ultimate is to have that outdoor space, you really do need to look at Royal Clipper because she has 14 of those and 2 owner's suites as well at the back of the ship. We'll go through the cabins though, so you can get an idea of what they look like shortly. But let's just talk a bit about, why do people want to do a Star Clipper? What is it makes us so different? And it's clear to see from the pictures of our ships, you know, we are not your normal cruise ship. We do look a little bit different. But I think our ethos and how, when we explain to customers and we talk to our other customers, you know, they say to us that sailing with us is we're not restricted to enforced schedules. We can be a little bit more off the cuff. If the weather takes and we've got our sails up, we can go a bit faster. If the weather conditions are not so great, we can drop the sails and go a little bit slower. You'll see that we do hug the landscape. So for those of you perhaps that have that fear of seasickness, it's not something we're going to say you're not going to have. But, you know, just be rest assured, we don't go very far from land. So we're not going to be going too far into the ocean unless you're doing transatlantic. You're probably not going to do that on your first cruise with us. And you would probably want to do, to just reassure you, perhaps go in the summer months, our summer months, and perhaps do a Med cruise where you're a bit more enclosed with land. So you're not going to get so much of the fierce weather conditions that you may think might cause a bit of sickness for you. Customers love it. They like the fact that they've got the freedom on board. As I go through some of the pictures, you'll see we let you do what you want within reason, whether that's climbing the crow's nest, whether you want to get involved in rigging. We really do want our customers to be immersed in the sailing experience, but it is your holiday, so we don't expect you to be up every morning at 6:30 scrubbing the decks. If you want to, then of course you can, but you know, it's not about, we're not asking you to do that. Some people do refer to us as a mega yacht experience. I think when you see our ships and you watch them sail out of the destination into the sunset, there is that kind of spirit that it is a mega yacht, but they are traditional sailing ships first and foremost. And we do go to some spectacular ports. We go to places that, you know, some of the big cruise lines can't go to. So in Greece, like Skiathos, Skopelos, Poros, Limnos. In Thailand, we sail around the national parks. We go through Borneo into Bali. So if you want to be away from the crowds and like that independence of getting off the ship and doing your own thing, whether that's immersing yourself in the local culture, having a mythos and a Greek salad sat on a harbour side, or you want to go round looking at the orangutans in Borneo. We have so many experiences that we can offer you, but on a much smaller scale, so you don't feel that you're going with the mass market. So this picture is one of my favourites. It's actually from the top of the crow's nest. And when I went out with some of the team from Miles Morgan a couple of years ago, Stuart from Cheltenham climbed up here. You do go in a harness, just to be clear. You don't do it when you feel, you know, you've got to be with the crew, and they supervise everything for you. And the views you get are spectacular. Now, if that's not your thing, then you can see below loads of sunbeds. We've got a couple of outdoor plunge pools. There's a bar area, plenty of shade. So if you're not really into the activities, you can, of course, just sit and relax on your sea days. But customers do like to have a look around the ships, and rightly so. If you want to, or you're interested in the bridge, it is open 24 hours a day. So you can go along and meet captain, and you can sit and hear about navigation. He'll explain to you about how tall ship sailing works. Perhaps if you want to go to the front of the ship and lay on the front nets, very popular with everybody who goes aboard Star Clipper. In fact, 2 years ago, we were sailing along the Dalmatian coast and we had a huge amount of dolphin activity. And if you're sat in the front there and getting to watch the dolphins play beneath you, it's such a fantastic memory and not something you could perhaps do on a conventional cruise. Rigging, if you want to get involved in the rigging every evening, you can get involved in it and ready for our sail away. And I think if you speak to any customers, or if any of you've been sailing with us, will know that this for us is part of the experience. And we sail away almost every evening. We generally sail into the sunset. So as the sun's dropping, we start to make our way out of port. We put on all the sparkly twinkle lights and the sails go up to music. And we play a piece of music by Vangelis, Conquest of Paradise. It's very haunting, it's very moving. And as we sail away, everybody around on their own ships, cruise lines, on land, all come out to see this spectacular tall ship leaving port. Of course, you do it with a glass of champagne, no other way, and you can get there and watch that sunset as you sail away. It truly is very magical, and as I said, it's some of the feedback we get from our customers is ultimately one of the best parts of it. But there are other things going on our ship, so you might actually want to find out a bit about where you're going, what you're doing. Our captains do a briefing every day, so if you did want to go along and find out about where we're going, a bit of history to while we sail in these waters, then don't miss out on those briefings, because they can be quite humorous, and they do give you some really good examples of our life at sea. Now on to the food. Of course, everybody wants to know about food on board. Like every cruise line, this is probably the only bit I would say similar to a mainstream cruise is the food. It's fantastic, cater for as many needs as we possibly can. It's full board, which means breakfast, lunch and evening meal. The breakfast and the lunch are always served on a buffet, and your evening meal is a six-course sit-down silver service dining experience. Other things that you get: complimentary tea and coffee and drinking water. We don't do drinks packages, so you just pay as you go. And just to give you an idea, a bottle of wine might start at sort of €13, a gin and tonic's £3, cocktails £5, so they're not that expensive, and it's the price that you see. So if you see €3.50, that's what you're paying. We don't add on a VAT or a tax afterwards. We've also got excursions on board, so if we were going to some destinations where perhaps you did want to have a guided tour or a specific excursion, you can book those on board. Everything's in euros, so you don't have to worry too much about the converting. And something that's really special is when you do the Caribbean or the Asia sailings, the crew like to find a deserted beach, get all the staff off, and of course all of the customers, and we have a barbecue on the beach. They bring the barbecue off the ship. They will cook fresh food. There'll be beers, a bit of music, so it's just a really nice way to spend the afternoon having al fresco on the barbecue on the beach. Now, as I mentioned about the dining area, this is on Royal Clipper, and we have free seating, so you can sit where you want with who you want. You can dine between 7 and 9. If you'd rather sit on a table of just yourselves, we'll accommodate. If you want to sit with others, then of course that's fine too. The only really requirement here is gentlemen need to wear long trousers, but that's it. We don't expect dinner suits or ball gowns. On our cruises, it's not about getting dressed up and coming down for dinner, and it's about being on top deck, seeing the stars and feeling that wind on your face as you sail through these beautiful destinations. We also do a captain's night, so of course we have everything you'd expect from a captain's night. He comes downstairs, all the crew come out, they'll do a baked Alaska, you can throw your serviettes in the air, so that's just a nice way to introduce the crew to you on your cruise. Now, this is the atrium I talked to you about at the start. When I first joined Star Clippers, I'd actually working in the world of river cruising. So I was quite used to being quite astounded by what was inside the ships. But this really blew me away. I couldn't believe this atrium was inside this ship. And as you can see, it's absolutely lovely. Now, off there, you've got the dining room at the bottom of Royal Clipper, and then the cabins are all off the different levels. There are no lifts on our ships. And we do ask anyone who travels with us to be able-bodied, just so you can get on and off safely. Then, of course, where does it all happen? The bar. So all of our bars on board our ships are called the Tropical Bar. They're inside and outside. This is a picture taken from the outside of the bar area. But if you go through the double doors, plenty of seating. There's a regular pianist that plays music in the evenings if you just want to sit, relax, read a book, have a conversation with your fellow shipmates. Or if you'd rather come out to the outside bar area, our crew will do their best to entertain you. And that can be anything from Royal Clippers Got Talent to stargazing, to Dancing with the Stars, to the captain playing ukulele, all sorts. But it's very tongue-in-cheek, it's not compulsory. I think for a lot of people in the evenings, they just like to sit up on the top deck and just enjoy the open space and the clear skies and just feel like they are at sea with their other passengers, not the thousands of others. So water sports, if any of you are interested in water sports, they are complimentary on board our ships. And as you can see on Royal Clipper, we are lucky enough for a platform that comes down the back. So you can use this if you wanted to go snorkeling, if you wanted to go paddle boarding, kayaking. But if you want to do all those water sports, our water sports team do take it all to land as well, and you can do it off the beach. But if you are a water baby, this is ultimately one of the best experiences that you can have on the back of a tall ship. So on to cabins. So I thought I'd kind of go through the sort of cabins with you. I won't go through every detail of them, but I would say probably 80% of our cabins on board our ships look very similar to category 3. So as you can see, the configuration can be queen, it can be, we've got bunk beds, it can be twins. These cabins predominantly have portholes. So, you know, I'll be really frank, yes, you can see the water from there. So if you really don't want to be at water level, it's best to be booking cabins further up the ship. Although, you know, I've stayed in this cabin many times and not had a problem with it. We've got TVs, but you're at sea. So first and foremost, I know it's a cliche, but you actually won't spend much time in your cabins. But if you did want some respite, just want to chill out for a little bit, then you've got some TV channels to watch, as well as hiring DVDs from the shop on board the ship. Now, Wi-Fi is a bit hit and miss. You can buy it, but my advice to you be wait till you get to land if you can do. It's just that signal's not that strong on the ship, and it's not got facilities. But you know, you are at land more or less every day. En suites, all marbled. You've got your day robes, you get your toiletries, you've got water in your cabins, plenty of storage space for your suitcases. There's wardrobes to hang your clothes up. So there's everything you'd expect from a cabin or a really nice hotel room if you were staying on a land holiday. The next category, category 1, these are bigger cabins further up the ship, and as you can see, they've got much bigger picture windows. So, you know, if you are new to sailing with Star Clippers and you just want that reassurance you're not going to get seasick, I would suggest you go further up the ship, stick to the centre of the ship, maybe go for a bigger window just for that reassurance that you're not going to see the sea splashing against you in the evenings, which might help to not make you have any seasickness. But they are all pretty much the same. And then if this is only available on Royal Clipper, these are the ones we only have 14 of. So again, you can see they're a little bit bigger, and they do have that outside space, which is a premium on board our ships. So again, if you want these, you do have to be a bit quicker with booking them, because due to the fact we don't have very many, they get booked up quite quickly. But the decor is pretty much the same throughout all of the cabins on board our ships. We do have on Royal Clipper one cabin that's got no solo supplement, so it's just a single rate, which is fantastic. And we do offer some great single prices for passengers who want to travel on their own. which we can give you details on. If you've got 3 of you and you want to share a cabin, we do have cabins that accommodate 3. And if you're traveling in a bigger group and you want to be sort of next to each other, we'll always try our best. We do our cabin allocation in the UK before you go, so we can always try to make sure we can give you all the things that you need. So let's have a look and see where we go to. So Southeast Asia. So this is one that I took out the team from Miles Morgan to. We did the Thailand and Malaysia sailing, which is fabulous. If you want to escape the crowds and really feel really special, and you really like to see fantastic scenery, this is a no-brainer. It's beautiful, and you can have great extensions in Phuket if you want to have a couple of nights there, or you can do additional Singapore, and of course you get to go to Langkawi, and it really is a very special place. And then we've got our Koh Samui, Thailand and Cambodia. Now this is another one. The Koh Samui sailings are particularly popular, great add-ons, and you go through some stunning national parks, go to some re-deserted beaches, so it really is something very special. And unfortunately we do need to tell you that it's your last chance to sell in Asia, because in March 2022 we are removing Star Clipper from Asia. The reason being is that we've got such huge demand for the Med. We need to have 3 ships back in Europe. That's the decision we've decided to take. So if you want to go out to Thailand and you wanted to do a 7-night cruise, cruise only works out about £1,300 per person. We've got to add your flights onto that and your pre and your post, but it's fantastic value for a island hopping experience around Asia. And as I said, it's going to be the last chance because we're moving her back to the Med for summer 2022. So let's have a look at some of our programs in the Med. So the Eastern Med is by far my favourite. Now, we used to call this cruise Mamma Mia, but we've changed the name now because people thought it was a Mamma Mia themed cruise, which, you know, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I don't mind a few songs for Mamma Mia, but we don't enforce that. I can guarantee it. But it does go to Skopelos, Skiathos, Poros and Limanos. And if you haven't been to this part of Greece, even on a cruise, you need to go there. It's beautiful, it's unspoiled, and it really takes you back to a time when Greece really was the place to go. Beautiful beaches, great outlooks. You can't beat the food when you're there either. To give you an idea, 7-night sailing out of Athens, you'd be looking around about £1,600 per person, based on cruise only. Now, I don't think we're going to have flights from Bristol to Athens this year or next year, looking at some of the schedules. So if you are thinking about going into Athens, you will need to look at departing from London or possibly Birmingham as an alternative. And down there we've got the Western Med, so you can see the Venice departure, which is takes in the Croatian coastline. Probably the most popular in the Med for us. Customers and staff love sailing in and out of Venice. It really is spectacular because we are still allowed to go right into the centre. Of course, the Croatian coastline is so the place to be, with those beautiful harbours, beautiful waters, and great places to go explore on your day trips off the ship. Then you've got the Amalfi Coast. Well, you know, you're going to Posicana, you've got Rome, you've got all the way up to Naples, beautiful part of the world. And we've got the French Riviera as well. So as I mentioned, Star Clipper is returning to the Med, and one of her first sailings is what I'm so excited about. And that's going to be the first time we've sailed in and out of Istanbul for 6 years. So we're going to be doing 4 departures from Istanbul to Athens, and as you can see, they're leaving at £1,600, but you can add in a few nights in Istanbul and have a great time just exploring this wild place before going into Athens and just having a couple of nights there before you come home. But again, it's a great itinerary. It goes to those amazing places I mentioned before, Skopelos, Skiathos and Poros, and we're really excited to have another ship in the Med. So this is the itinerary we just talked about, and I would love to tell you where Star Clippers is going for winter 2022, but my lips are sealed. What I can tell you is we will be due to announce it in the coming weeks. We will of course let Miles and his team know as soon as we have got the okay to let our partners know. And this destination is going to be a new winter destination. So it's not the Caribbean and it's not Asia, but that's all I'm allowed to say for now. So keep an eye out for a new destination coming for winter 2022. So of course we have our transatlantic crossings twice a year. We have probably about 80% of our customers do this every year. They are the same customers, they love it. It's 12 solid days at sea. So I think if you haven't got your sea legs, maybe wait until you've sailed a few times before you immerse yourself on a transatlantic crossing. But when you do and you get to these fabulous Caribbean islands, Barbados for us is by far the most popular from the UK market. Great land stays in Barbados. You're going to some of the beautiful islands in and around there. You've got St. Lucia, the Grenada, beautiful, beautiful part of the world. And what's great in the Caribbean is there are days when Starflight and Royal Clipper come together, and those pictures and those moments are spectacular. And then Starfly is based out of St. Martin, so not so popular for the UK market just because of the indirect flights, but you can go via France, you can go via Amsterdam, which you can do from Bristol, and you can also do it via Antigua if you want to. The British Virgin Islands for me are much more appealing. They're very elite. It's where all the fabulous and famous people go, and I think island hopping around British Virgin Islands must be on most people's bucket lists. So just moving on then to just a couple of bits really. We tried to make some really lovely, unique experiences. One of those is the Panama Canal, always sails out every single year without fail. We also do the Monaco Grand Prix, and I think next year it's the 28th of May, and Royal Clipper will be in base back to her home of Monaco for that, and we can provide tickets if you want to go and see the race as well. But we've just been putting together a package with the Venice Simplon, so the Orient Express Rail and Sail. This is an 11-night package, so you'll fly down to Venice, you'll have a few nights in San Marco area, really enjoying the scene in Venice before having a fabulous cruise on Royal Clipper around the Croatian coastline, before heading back into Venice and getting on the Venice Simplon Orient Express back up to France, where you'll then go back to the UK and join the Belmont for your trip into London. This always sells out for us. So we launched it on Monday and it's leading in at the moment at £4,899. So that iconic rail journey with the iconic sailing on Royal Clipper, I think for a lot of people will be on their bucket list of things they want to see and do. So as we come towards the end of my presentation, I really hope that you've heard and saw and really are understanding where we're coming from with Star Clippers. It's not for everybody, but for those that you do want to come on it, I guarantee that once you go once, you will be hooked. We know this because over 70% of our customers come back and travel with us every single year. So there are some early booking discounts around and back to back. We've currently got our program out until March 2023. Everyone except Star Clipper, as I said, once we've given the okay, we can let you know where she's going to be, and it's going to be really exciting and something very, very different. So I'm going to leave you with this lovely picture of Royal Clipper, one of the most famous ones of her coming out of Venice. And as I said, for us, the crew, our customers, this ultimately is one of the best experiences you can have on board our ships. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me this afternoon. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and back to Miles, who if you've got any questions will answer them. Thanks,
Nicola. So please ask away if you have any questions whatsoever in the chat that you can see at the bottom. Nicola obviously is the salesperson for Star Clippers, so she's going to give you a very rosy picture of everything on the ship. Having been on Star Clippers, let me give you my personal opinion. Before I went, I had no idea what I was going to expect. I was expecting it probably to be very posh and stuffy. That was one of the things I was expecting. I had no idea what was going to be going on in terms of entertainment. And so what did I find? Well, first of all, it wasn't as posh by anything like I was expecting in the slightest, and nor were the customers that were on it. The entertainment, pretty much, there isn't much. So that's a very, very different experience. You know, you cannot compare it with a regular cruise, where entertainment for a lot of people is a lot of the reason why they go. So there isn't that either. What it most 100% is a real genuine experience. You know, when they turn the engines off and they put the sails up, it's amazing. And particularly, and Nick did talk about it in the presentation, when they do the sailaways, and you know, I talked to the people. We had a group of staff went out to Asia, as Nick said, to go on board. And before they went, I said, this might sound really, really naff, but when they sail out, they blast this Vangelis music out, and all the cabin boys in their white gear hoist the sails and everything. And I said, it is utterly magical. It sounds a bit naff, but when you experience it, and the one particular I remember is sailing out of Monte Carlo. It is just a magical experience. There's very few things quite like it. In fact, there isn't anything quite like it. Equally, I remember crawling to lie on the nets at the front of the ship, and just lying there for half an hour while, you know, the world goes by, and you know, the sails are up and you're watching the sails billow in the wind. And again, it's just a special experience, as is climbing the crow's nest that Stuart from the Cheltenham shop did. I did that as well. And so if you're looking to go to destinations, experience destinations, get into smaller ports of call, and along the way have a really, really different experience and holiday, it 100% is that. If you like to get yourself really togged up at night and make a special occasion of an evening, Star Clippers probably isn't for you, because that's not what the vessels are all about. They're proper, I won't say they're working ships, they're not, because they're obviously for tourists, but there's no dressing it up. It is what it is. It's a genuine, proper sailing experience, and it's very, very special and very, very magical. And I think you know, hopefully from that I've put you off. If I put you off, I'm pleased. If I've excited you, I'm equally pleased, because it is one of those ones where it will absolutely, you'll be watching this presentation thinking, God, I can see us on that, or maybe thinking, no, it's not for us at all. And so for us as a business, it's really important that we don't just sell people a cruise and put people on these ships. We put people on that will go on, come back and go, wow, you know. I mean, we've got some people, I don't know whether they're on this soon, we've got some customers in Abergavenny that go time and time and time again. And I spoke to them about it, and they just can't get enough. So for them, selling Star Clippers and booking Star Clippers isn't the issue. The issue is picking the itinerary that they're going to take, because it's going to go to ports of call that really excite them, because the concept of Star Clippers, they absolutely love. They just think it's wonderful.
Well, they'll be super excited with the new destination then, Miles.
Yes. I was going to ask you, favorite itinerary. What itinerary would you know, if you personally could just say one itinerary that the ships do, what would it be? Athens.
I think sailing around the Greek islands with your sails up, nothing beats it. I think if you really want to have, I mean, when we were in Thailand, we had the sails up 75% of our time, which is highly, you know, is amazing. But I know in Greece, the time of the sails being up, which is is the best time when you're on the ship and the sails are up and you're sailing. That's the one for me. It's enclosed, so less likely to get seasickness. The destinations we go to are unspoiled, not thousands of tourists. Really easy when you get off in Skopelos and Skiathos. You're in the town centres, no buses to take you anywhere. You know, you can just go on and off the ship as you please. So for me, that's my personal favourite. But I absolutely loved Thailand, because I'd never seen that part of Thailand where no one else was apart from us. I found that magical. But it's also worth noting, if you've not cruised with us and you're just not quite sure, there are a couple of 3-nighters for 2022, and I think 1 5-nighter. So if you just wanted to sample it, again, they're out of Athens. That's a perfect way to experience it. They're in the summer months. easy to get to, short flights, short transfers, and you get to go to these beautiful Greek islands. But I personally am going on the Istanbul one next year. That's what I'm going on.
I think that's a really, really good bit of advice. You know, what I would say, don't book yourself a 14-day trip on a Star Clippers for your first one. You know, book yourself a 7-nighter, or ideally, even as you said, a 3-nighter or something like that, because it gives you the opportunity to try it and understand whether it's for you. It's interesting. Margaret from Wales has just posted in the chat that she enjoyed helping raise the sales and winning the quiz in the bar, which is about right for Margaret. But what I will say, that almost sums up so much of the entertainment on board is actually created by the guests themselves, and the camaraderie and fun amongst the guests, which again is, you just wouldn't get that on another cruise ship. It's not something that happens, and I think it's just because of the style of the sailing and the camaraderie amongst the guests that you get, because it's relatively small. You know, even on your biggest ship,
exactly.
It's not massive.
Yeah, the entertainment is led by the customers. I think if you want something a bit more out there, they'll give you it. But equally, if you just want to have some nice music on and just chill out, that's fine too. They wouldn't. I mean, the quiz that I did with the team, they were very competitive, as I would think all people are at Miles Morgan Travel, and Stuart and Mags were not letting anyone else win that competition, and we did win it with their wealth of knowledge. Mags has just said we are currently looking at doing a little group with Miles Morgan, so we're just working that out, but that will be a 5-nighter in 2022. We're just waiting for the Bristol flights to work for us, and then we'll have an exclusive for you guys to look at, to work with us on for 2022. The 5-nighters are great because you get a lot of that chance to add on either side of your holiday, your cruise. So if you wanted to do a couple of nights on land, or go off and do a tour, or just have a nice night in a hotel, you can adapt that. And we have to do that sometimes with our flights from Bristol, because they don't always work with our cruising, much to my dismay. But there are a couple of small ones out there, and you know, if you want to go further afield, our top selling destination this year, I know we're only a couple of months into it, is Barbados. I cannot believe how much we've sold of Barbados. And I don't know where that's come from. I've not seen it on TV around Barbados, but the calls that we're getting from the trade have been Barbados.
Thank you also to Suzanne, who's posted in the chat that she agrees that the Sail Away was, for her, the experience, it was utterly magical. And I think I'll certainly agree. Magical, I think, is Nick the best choice of word probably for it, I would say.
And emotional. I think I'm not sure who, it might have been Suzanne that got a bit teary actually. We pre-warn people, if there's something the first time you see it and you're part of it that just makes you very emotional, and that and magical are the right words for it.
Yeah,
definitely.
It is. Well, if there's no further questions, thank you everybody for joining. The good news on this one is, as you've heard, there's plenty of Miles Morgan Travel staff that have experienced Star Clippers firsthand, including me. So if there are any further questions you've got, then please come through and ask. And like I say, overall, I'm hoping you've listened to this and it's really excited you to travel on Star Clippers, or equally not, one or the other. But providing it's one or the other, we'll be absolutely delighted. So thank you for joining, everybody. And thank you, Nick, for the presentation. Really enjoyable.
No, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.